On this week's GTA 5 o'clock, GTA 5 soundtrack updated for new gen release. Has the Xbox One PC and PS4 release dates slipped out? And are Activision looking to acquire Take-Two? Find out in this week's GTA 5 o'clock. Hello and welcome to this week's GTA 5 o'clock. I'm your host James Jarvis and I'm joined as ever by Dan Dawkins.
Hello.
Hello Dan. Lots to talk about this week, as if we were waiting for some big news. Lots of little things have come along, so let's get straight onto it. And Cara Delevinge has said that there will be an updated soundtrack for GTA 5 on next-gen systems due this fall on her Twitter and Instagram feeds.
Yeah, now who's Cara Delevinge? Well, she's the famous model who you won't fail to have missed. She's doing a new Burberry campaign with Kate Moss. She was the, I guess, celeb DJ on Non-Stop Pop on GTA 5. Now she's clearly been back into Rockstar. It looks like maybe their New York office to do her duties for the updated soundtrack for, the next gen versions. Now she does literally say, we're doing an updated soundtrack, so hey, new songs incoming, and also it confirms this fall. Now it could be that you might say, oh well, Cara Delevingne's made a mistake. How would she know? She's just reporting what's being said. It's worth noting that Rockstar retweeted her tweet. Now, an RT is not an endorsement except for when it probably is.
Yeah.
So I don't think they'd have retweeted it if she'd made such a critical mistake. No. So I think that's Rockstar saying it, not in their own words, but through hers. It's also worth noting that she tweeted out a series of photos, largely similar. A lot of them were like her holding a gun, but I think 3 or 5 of the photos, or similar, no longer exist. Now, I guess some people probably snapped them off before they got, 404 away or whatever it is. But I doubt she'd have, taken a picture of herself with, oh look, I'm here with the new man from the zombie DLC mode, or I'm wearing a jetpack. But it is interesting that a few of them just went missing. I don't know why that is. And again, I've not been as close to this as I could be, so apologies if this has been resolved. But it did seem weird to me that a few had gone missing.
So it's obviously the start of the GTA 5 marketing campaign for next gen. As Dan said, Rockstar retweeted it, sort of confirming what she said. So what kind of music do you think we can expect? We know there's going to be updated versions. The original Non-Stop Pop had things like All Saints, Pure Shores, Britney Spears, Give Me More, and One Thing by Amory. But there were a list of unused songs that didn't quite make the cut. Do you think we'll be seeing some of them?
Yeah, there's like a GTA, like in a lot of the GTA games, we've talked about this a lot on the show, you often get like unused text files with hints of things that were supposed to be in the game but weren't. Now, there's a full list available, again, you can find it on the Grand Theft Wiki, of songs that, were apparently mooted for inclusion but weren't. Now, they include Kylie Minogue's Two Hearts, Sneaker Pimp's 8 Underground, 6 Underground, 8 Underground would have been the follow-ups single, Estelle and Kanye West, American Boy, Mike Posner, Cooler Than Me, Tears for Fears, Everyone Wants to Rule the World, Seal, Future Love Paradise, Enrique Iglesias and Pitbull. I like it, Pitbull. Now, I really like the idea of Robbie Williams and Kylie Minogue's Kids, Jamiroquai Love Philosophy, Cassie, Me and You, Kiki D Star, Mochiba Tape Loop, My Loco, The Time Is Now. Loads of stuff that fits exactly within the template you'd expect of Non-Stop Pop. Could it be that it's finally going to be inserted now? Hey, watch this space. The critical thing is, Rockstar are hinting that the suite of changes being made to GTA 5 and Next Gen are bigger than just the graphics that we've already seen.
Yeah.
It's now extending to soundtrack. How deep does the wormhole go?
Well, yeah, obviously we're going to get Non-Stop Pop updated. We can probably assume there'll be multiple other radio stations updated as well. Yeah. Possibly even the talk radio stations with some extra bits of information thrown in there. But do you think that this could all link into new missions and new side missions? Because obviously sometimes on the radio you get interruptions when you're driving along going, oh, breaking news, this thing is happening just over here. So they could relate to some extra side missions that they could be thinking about putting in.
Unknowable. Like, literally unknowable. Like, it's sometimes, you'd like to think, traditionally what they would do is save licensed soundtrack songs for key moments in the game, like when Billie Jean started playing when you got on the bike in Vice City. In GTA 5 it was a shift to a dynamic sort of authored soundtrack, so probably if they're creating new missions you'd expect them to be relayed more with sort of bespoke soundtrack stuff rather than, let's say, Kylie Minogue. But you never know. But I don't think in itself it's conclusive proof that we're going to get a new mission suite.
All right, the final question about the new soundtrack and stuff before we move on then is, I've seen a lot of people talking about the old gen versions who at the moment haven't been given any information on whether this stuff is coming, but you'd think that if it's there, the old gen version would eventually get a patch or some kind of update.
Possibly. I mean, it all depends on, you know, one of the other elephants in the room is the significant single-player DLC that seems to have been hashed up. You know, whether that's coming with the PS4 version from launch, and it's also being released as a separate pack or a patch for... It won't be a patch, I imagine it would be sold on you know... We don't know. Like, we literally don't know. Like, we'll have to see what they come up with. And the silence really is slightly mysterious, even for Rockstar, to have made it so clear the game's coming out in fall. And we're really so close to that time now that if there is a big announcement yet to come, you'd think we'd know about it. But hey, you know, as I say, they could drop it quite late.
Well, as a great segue then, Dan, let's talk about when this game is coming out. We've spoken about it quite a lot last week. We even put the date down that we thought it might come out sometime between November 11th and 18th. The new rumours on the internet this week are that it's coming November 14th. The UK distributor for Take-Two, which is Exertis Gem, have put on their public website that the game is out on the 14th. They have tagged it under racing as a genre, which throws the whole thing into a bit of a confusing state, really. Littlewoods, that giant big game knowledge base, also say the 14th. And Newegg, a company in America, have said the 18th, which is a Tuesday, which is bang on exactly where we thought it might land, as we mentioned last week.
Yeah, now there's two ways of looking at this. Like we pinpointed a date last week based on a couple of factors that we sort of thought was between Tuesday the 11th. Tuesday's the game things come out in the US. Friday's kind of your European date, so it would be like Tuesday the 11th, Friday the 14th, Tuesday the 18th. These are our hot dates. Now all these dates have fallen on those slots. Now the one reading is, good grief, we're viziers and have once again pinned the tail on the donkey and we've got it correct. Or, and I don't want to overstate this, I'm half laughing as I say it, you know, such is the kudos attached to the show, amazingly, because we have quite a good track record up to this point, that people are almost like using that as their lead, where again we're basically making informed, speculated guesses based on a few tidbits. This is not on like a secretly official Rockstar information delivery channel. You know, we're out there steering in the wild like anyone else, but you know, with a few people we know through the industry and that kind of stuff. So, you know, it could just be retailers taking a cue from us, which in itself might be something that came from a forum. Hey, but I still think that date period is when I think it is.
The thing with the 14th, I guess, is Ubisoft just recently announced that Assassin's Creed Unity has been delayed by 2 weeks, which puts that game now coming out on the 14th of November. Not that Rockstar or GTA 5 would have anything to worry about it being launching on the same day, but it's just weird that that game shifted by 2 weeks and then it would come out on the same day. But, you know, there's always another chance of another weekly delay for Unity, I guess.
Let's see.
Okay, so on to the next small piece of news, or quite big piece of news that came out this week, and it was Activision are looking to acquire Take-Two in a kind of deal. EA have tried to buy Take-Two before, back in 2008, for an offer of $2 billion, which got rejected. Now Activision are looking to go in and buy Take-Two, but, I mean, do you really think Take-Two need Activision in this kind of deal? I mean, they're big enough on their own.
Yeah, I mean, without going into too much detail about the Take-Two financials, which will obviously be quite positive and healthy, and when you read Strauss-Zelnick's comments on their last investor call, he was very bullish about the nature of the company, about their commitment to AAA and or, you know, almost quadruple A almost, saying we only make big bets, you know, we almost do them in our own time. He seemed to be in pretty clear shape about the rude health of their company. Now, that doesn't sound like a company that needs to sell, but as is often in life, you don't need to sell, but someone makes you an offer you can't refuse. And Activision are a huge player, you know, incorporating like Blizzard. They've got, you know, Call of Duty, all the World of Warcraft titles. They're a big, big cheese. Now, I can understand them wanting Take-Two. I can see the attraction of wanting GTA and the various properties therein. Now, the there's an interesting point really to make about the ownership of Rockstar, and that, it started with Houser brothers are quite famous, seem to obviously enjoy a fair degree of autonomy within the current company structure, as does Leslie Benzies, and they seem to have a sort of distant, but almost like they're part of Take-Two, and they're, as are 2K, but they're left at a distance to go about their own business, really. Now, would Activision endorse such a structure? Would they not be tempted to go, for example, hey guys, we're definitely not going to mess with what you do, this is going to be great, all that's going to happen is we're going to give you a load of money and everything stays as it is. But does at some stage that conversation become, wouldn't it be really cool if instead of doing GTA every 4 or 5 years, you did it every 3 years? That would be cool, wouldn't it? Now, and where does that go? And you think of all the things Activision are famous for. One is definitely the annualization of Call of Duty, which currently has 3 different studios working on different versions of Call of Duty to maintain its annualization, given the demands of AAA production. So, would the houses look at that and go, maybe they go, actually, hey, that's cool. We've done really well. We've said what we've got to say. We feel good enough about signing up to this system. And it's so much money that we already don't need to work again, but now we definitely don't need to work again for 7 generations ahead. Or do they just go, well, actually, no, we're scared about this. There's ramifications that need to be sorted out. We like the autonomy of our company. We like what we're trying to say. We're cool with our current model. And ultimately, it's not really their say because they're part of Take-Two, but you can be pretty clear they've got a strong say in anything that company does by virtue of the revenue they produce, in a similar way to Hideo Kojima's relationship with Konami, where he's their key player. And whilst he's subject to financial constraints, I'm sure he gets a lot of flex and leeway compared to other people because he's their star card. That's how these things work. So I'd be kind of surprised if this went ahead, like from maybe the point of view of the houses wanting to accept it. Again, in as much as it's their decision to make. But I would not be unsurprised if Activision decided to make an offer that Take-Two couldn't refuse.
Yeah, the crux of the deal seemed to hang around sort of like the movie, like them being able to open up connections into the movie business and cinema and stuff. Obviously, the Housers are huge fans of cinema and want to make... At some point, I think when you spoke to them, they wanted you to be able to make your own sort of GTA movie by playing the game. That was the ultimate dream. But I guess it would allow for them to take the GTA franchise into different directions. Like you could eventually see a film based on the game or something like that. Like they could open up those kind of avenues.
But I don't think that's what the houses want. Like they what they're saying is very clearly is we take cues from cinema. We're film fans, but you need to be clear that we're making games. Like we're not frustrated filmmakers. We're games makers who've taken cues from cinema. And I don't think they would see that as their easy Hollywood in. And I think it's, again, I'll have to check my facts. I'm sure they've been approached on several occasions to make lucrative GTA movies and have turned it down because it probably wouldn't be the right thing. Truthfully, I don't think any of us really want a GTA film, do we? Like, I don't think that's not the point of GTA. The things that are really cool about GTA, the discovery, the freedom, the open-endedness, is not what movies would recreate. In fact, they just hem it in along the plot lines that there are. And, some GTA games have been more successful than others in that respect. I just don't see, again, that being necessarily the best use of the medium. It's probably an even worse proposition for cinema than Metal Gear Solid is. Yeah. Which is a better movie, but so complicated you don't know where to begin.
All right, well, that's the news for this week. Dan has got to rush off, but I've got some updates on GTA Online's new jobs and other things like that. So stick around and I will fill you in on them. So thank you to Dan. As I mentioned, we've got 16 new jobs that have been added to GTA Online this week. These include new scenarios for all 3 new Versus modes, Acquire Targets, Air Force Zero and G Rating. These have recently debuted as part of the San Andreas Flight School update, and there's also a pair of contact missions and a selection of air races, parachute jumps and more. Alongside these jobs, Rockstar have also created the new Flight School jobs playlist that features a varied assortment of the new jobs from this week's update. The special playlist will award you with double RP all week long. And for those of you who are unable to unlock the exclusive High Flyer parachute as part of the recent event weekend, Rockstar have made sure that that is available to everyone who plays through the new playlist to completion. And while we're talking about GTA Online, it is worth mentioning our GTA Online crews. We've got the OCLK, the GTA 5 O'Clock crew, the OCLS, the GTA 5 O'Clock Shadows, and the OCLG, the GTA 5 O'Clock Gravels. Now, these crews have had some changes made to them in the recent weeks and months. But what's happening now is this. PS3 players should join the OCLK crew. That's the GTA 5 O'Clock crew. This is where you'll find all other PS3 players. And hopefully you'll be able to get some good games on there and some good events and some good matches. 360 players should join the GTA 5 O'Clock Shadows. Again, this is where all the Xbox 360 players and, when it comes to it, Xbox One players will go. And if you want to be part of a multi-console crew, then the GTA 5 O'Clock Gravels is the one for you. It's important to note that no one is going to be kicked or forced to move out of these crews. If you're currently in one and you don't want to move, that's fine. But if you want to play with more people in crew events and on your console of choice, this is the best way to do it. So once again, PS3 players, GTA 5 O'Clock crew, Xbox 360 players, GTA 5 O'Clock Shadows, and if you want multi-console crew, that's the GTA 5 O'Clock Gravels. Moving on to our Snapmatic competition, and last week the theme was Caught in the Act. We had some great entries on Facebook, Twitter, and in the comments on last week's video, so please keep them coming in. Our first entry is from King Eskimo, and it is this picture. Now, he seems to be caught in the act of burning down the entire building. There's also a dead body on the right-hand side, which is very nicely framed, and it's the perfect opportunity for a selfie. Obviously, if you are burning down houses and killing people, then why wouldn't you take a selfie? So thanks for that, King Eskimo. Our next entry comes from Daniel De James O'Doherty, and you may have seen this on our Facebook and Twitter feeds throughout the week. It's a great snap of a guy diving into a pool, truly caught in the act of diving. Congratulations to you, Daniel. Artist Adam is up next with this great shot of people being caught in the act sneaking through the subway tunnels. Now, there's a group here of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people. One of them's already been shot, but they've been caught out by a military type who is hiding in the sewers. I'm not sure why he's there. Maybe he's doing some kind of secret military operation. Maybe he's a UFO pilot and they're stumbling on some kind of secret military base under the streets of Los Santos. But that is a great community shot there. Would have taken a lot of effort to get all those guys together. So well done, Artist Adam. Next up, and nearly the winner this week, is Oliver Di Silvador, and with this great shot of Michael here getting caught in the act by the police, having a cheeky blow on a little pipe that he's got there. He seems to have already been shot in the stomach once, so it's amazing he's still standing, really, and it doesn't look like things are going to get much better for him in the future here if this cop has anything to do with it. Great shot of caught in the act there, but our winner this week is Berserk Raptor. Now, he sent in a few entries. This is one of his entries, and I think this perfectly sums up being caught in the act. Just what he was doing in the elevator, I'm not sure, but these two guys definitely didn't appreciate what was going on. Either way, he's got his hands up in the air with all of his fingers spread out as well. It's really good sense of like, hey, I'm sorry, I definitely wasn't doing anything, when he clearly was. I don't know what he's doing in the elevator on his own. Maybe you can put your suggestions in the comments below and I'll read some out next week. So congratulations to you, Berserk Raptor. You're our winner of this week's GTA 5 O'Clock Snapmatic competition. Next week's theme is, it's quite a sensitive one. It's Alone in a Bustling City. So get your entries in on Facebook at facebook.com/GTA Video Clock, or on Twitter at GTA Video Clock, or you can put your social club links in the comments below and we will collect them all together and put them up next week. So that theme again, Alone in a Bustling City. So that's it for this week. As I said earlier, Dan has had to run off, so we're not going to get to do Challenge Dan this week. But don't worry, I will get him to fly a jet through the Mount Chiliad tunnel, even if it kills me. That is definitely coming up next week. We've also got some things that we might have missed in the game code to go through next week relating to the Chiliad mystery and the Epsilon robe, so make sure you come back for that. And we will see you next Wednesday at 5 o'clock GMT.